Welcome to the Talk Healing to Me podcast. Our quote for this episode is from Christian Andersen, and it says, "Where words fail, music speaks." Now, when diagnosed with a chronic illness, communication and self-expression become even more important. And being able to process our own thoughts and emotions can be a challenge, never mind saying them out loud. Now, why not do them with music? Today, our special guest for the podcast is Dr. Shane Cassidy, and he's the founder of Neurolinks. He's an accredited music therapist with over 13 years experience in the health and educational settings. He is also a member of the International Academy for the Neurologic Music Therapy. His clinical expertise lies primarily in the areas of neurological conditions and mental health, and he's also been heavily active in the research field for the past 5 years. Now, Shane received his PhD in 2020, and before that, a first-class honours Masters in Music Therapy. And as part of his training, he completed clinical placements at the Royal Hospital for Neurodisability in Putney, London, and the National Rehabilitation Hospital in Dublin. And it was in his work that he first saw the power of music in supporting people with neurological conditions, in learning and relearning the skills across several aspects of their lives, inspiring him to pursue his PhD and to establish Neurolinks. Now, Shane has years and years of experience, and he's also a qualified primary school teacher with experience in a variety of mainstream and special educational settings. He also holds a degree in music from Trinity College, Dublin, and he plays the clarinet and piano and enjoys using his musical skills in the therapy setting to support people and their individual goals. Now, Shane, you are so welcome today, and you've got the patience of a saint because we didn't hit record a moment ago. You're so welcome.
We had a free rehearsal, don't worry.
We had a free rehearsal. Shane, it's so lovely to meet you. It's so lovely to meet you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, delighted to be here.
No, we spoke when we didn't hit record about you growing up and playing piano and playing clarinet and having a mom that's really musical. But tell me, what has kept music and its interest alive for you all these years? Because like you said, you know, when we were chatting beforehand, you know, the grades can become monotonous and you're practicing the same 3 things maybe over and over until you get them. What keeps it alive for you?
This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult your doctor. Views shared are personal and not a substitute for professional guidance.
Ooh, good question. I think its ability to change and adapt with you. Now, I say that now as a music therapist. I don't think as a child I would have had the same outlook. But even looking back at how I used music as a child and how, in a way, it helps to build your identity. It develops with you, and your identity develops with it at each stage of your life. So it's always been there to a huge degree for me. And I suppose now, again, as a therapist, it's always been a massive part of my self-care kind of kit, or whatever you might say. Because I know now, after a long, hard week, I will turn to music, and that's my way of kind of letting go and, just self-soothing, self-caring. Yeah.
I love that. I love the way you brought that up about identity as well. I remember in school, you'd have particular groups of people, you know, you'd have like the emos, or you'd have like the skater kids, or, and actually they would generally be boxed in together because of a music taste, or you'd have all the lads in basketball that loved rap, or you'd have, you know, and I know I'm massively generalizing here, by the way, and obviously there's a much broader spectrum, but it is something that can really, you know, set us apart, but also group us together, right?
You're so right. Yeah, I think my taste was quite eclectic in that, like, I was very nerdy in terms of love it. I loved classical music. I played a lot of classical music. Loved like trad music, but loved all the cheesy pop, some of the rock. Like, I mean, there was no one genre, I think, at any stage for me. Yeah.
I love that. Did you river dance your way through your teenage years?
Absolutely not. No. I'm a musician, but it didn't really translate into dance at all. No.
That is okay. I won't embarrass you with some stories of mine then. So, Shane, it was so lovely to chat to you before we got into this, because we were talking about, you know, our passion in, you know, making a difference for people. And that's what really stood out to me. You know, when I look at your website and I look at the work that you do, it really does make a difference. Tell me, what is it that makes music therapy so special?
Okay.
Sorry, that's a really hard question. Yeah, listen, I'm here. We're here all evening. Go for it.
This will be a series.
Love it.
I think there's so many layers to that. So first of all, why is music so special? I don't know which way to go. Do I start from the top or the bottom? Okay, I'm going to start from the neural. What's happening in our brains as we just even listen to music? So I suppose over the last 20 years with such advancements in technology, we know what's happening in the brain. And what we can see is the number of areas and brain regions that are lit up and activated when we just even listen to a piece of music or to a song. Those regions are like those that control our movement, our memory, our attention, our emotion. It's a whole brain workout almost, listening to music. If we're engaging in music and actually playing music, it's enhancing even more of those areas, like the motor, like the physical aspect of it. If we're playing music with others, there's a whole other set. So there's so much neurally going on. If we look at, say, the dopamine levels of somebody engaging in music, they massively rise. So that's our happy hormone, I guess. We know that there's a significant reduction in cortisol levels, which is known as our stress hormone. And the reason I mentioned the playing music together, that whole connection piece, is that our oxytocin levels, when we're playing or singing with others in a group, there was a study done in Denmark in 2012, I think it was, and it was a singing group, and within 30 minutes, the oxytocin levels had doubled after just singing together, coming together, making music. And like, I suppose we've all had that spine-chilling goosebump moment in response to a specific song or piece of music. And that's, I suppose I always describe it as the hotline to emotion. That's that, like, we felt it. It's a physiological effect in direct response to music. For me, I don't know if there's any other external thing or stimulus that can give me that. I don't think I've ever experienced it, if there is. So that's kind of going into the brain. But like I mentioned earlier, the associations and the identity that we have with certain music, with certain periods in our lives, we have, going back to the brain, we associate memories with a particular emotion and we encode them in the brain with particular emotion. So that is why when we hear a specific song, it might bring us back to a time in our lives we were very sad, or where we were elated, we were on top of the world, but it's music, I think, that can transport us there instantly.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, I guess that's a brief synopsis as to why music.
I love it. It's so brilliantly answered, and thank you for sharing that. You brought up something there about, encoded memories. Why is it, do you think, that we can instantly recall lyrics from a song like so many years ago, but then sometimes you walk into the kitchen and it's like, why did I walk in here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Or
It's
looking
amazing.
for your phone and still in your hand.
Yeah. Or not hit record when you're recording a podcast. Yeah.
It is. It's fascinating. And actually with some of the clients I work with, who may have dementia, or they may have memory loss as a result of a neurological condition or an acquired brain injury, whatever it may be. But yet, really interestingly, song lyrics are still intact from certain periods of their life. And there's been a lot of research done into it. And what they've come up with is that the songs from your teenage years, your late teenage years and your early 20s are the most kind of ingrained into your memory, your musical memories. So whether that's related to, I suppose, your formative years or whatever that may be, but that's what they've found, that actually they're and for me, I think when I look back, it probably is true.
Wow.
My early college years, I'm like, yeah, I was there. I was, you can get transported back straight away.
Yeah, all the Now CDs, and then all the, Tchaikovsky and Romeo and Juliet from like Leaving Cert and stuff like that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're all coming back later on in life then.
Yeah. And there's a guy called Daniel Levitin. He's a he's in the States. He's a professor of a few different things. Neuroscience is one of them. And he has amazing TED Talks. He's written books, everything. But he has a kind of an experiential session with an audience, and he just plays one chord. It's not even a second of a song. And I think it's the Beatles or one of those iconic Beatles songs. And within that split second, every single person in the audience knew what song it was. There was no words. There was nothing. It was just that instant, like, whoa, I know what that song is. I know what that... Yeah.
The best Google search ever, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. But I love that everybody, comes to that. They can recognize it. And obviously people will have their own interpretation or experience, memory, whatever it's going to,
definitely
bring up for them. It's so special, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is magic. I'd love to hear what you say about this. So when I worked in radio, we had this sonic branding person come in, and he spoke about how, the type of music can influence your buying skills. And he spoke about a study that was done. Let's pretend it's like Super Value, right? Let's say it was done in Super Value, and in the wine aisle, they were playing Spanish music 1 week. And the sales on Spanish Rioja and other Spanish wines, rose significantly. And the next week they played French music, and the sales of French wine, wine rose as well. What do you say, what kind of influence can we have on our health with music, if that can have on our spending habits, do you think?
I think the options and the potential is endless. I think we've only scratched the surface with the research, and there's actually a huge amount of research now to back up music therapy and to underpin everything that we do. But I think, again, like, there's so much more to come. There's so many more benefits. There's so many more untouched areas that haven't yet been explored. Like you say, people's spending habits like that. In Super Value, you'll notice that the speed of the music is a little bit quicker than if you were in a fine dining restaurant. Because in Super Value, you're going to go in, you're going to buy your things, you're in and out. They don't want you there all day. Whereas in a fine dining restaurant, you're going to be having maybe another drink or another bottle of wine or maybe another dessert, whatever may tickle your fancy. The music will be that little bit calmer. The tempo will be a little bit reduced. And go into a fast food restaurant and it'll be the opposite. Again, they want you in and out. It's so that kind of aspect where we're looking at the speed, we're looking at entrainment. And that's, again, going back to the brain, the link between the auditory cortex and the motor system. And we kind of harness that behavioral relationship to help people walk faster if they have a neurological condition or if they've had a brain injury or a stroke, whatever it may be, to enhance their movements. So that idea of entrainment is a really big one in music therapy. It's also one that we would use as a kind of a self-regulation tool, because say, for example, a client comes in or I experience a stressful moment and I put on music at 50, 60 beats per minute. That's going to bring the heart rate down. So my heart is entraining to that external rhythm. Mm-hmm. So that's just one aspect where I'm talking about rhythm. Never mind the emotive, nuances within music as well. Like you say, a different genre and how that might affect our mood or our feeling. It's really interesting that you brought that up, because I was looking at one on food choice the other day, and they did a study of, I think it was one Asian restaurant and one Italian restaurant, and they played various music, and like that, the most preferred music in the survey at the end of each person's meal was Italian in the Italian restaurant and Asian in the Asian restaurant. So it's just really fascinating how very almost subconsciously it can have an effect on our behaviors, maybe on our mood. And I suppose in terms of mood, that can both be negative and positive. It's not always a positive response. I think there can sometimes be the assumption that, oh, music is great, it's so enjoyable. But for certain people, a certain song or piece of music may actually bring up a traumatic memory or something that wasn't so enjoyable. And I guess that's where the therapeutic, or having a therapist there to kind of work with that and manage that and help and support somebody through that is important.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, I love, do you know what, you're making me just want to go and listen to music. Like we don't realize the influence that it can have on our health. And like you say, the possibilities are endless with it. Like on that note, so say like a lot of people that are listening now, and I'll ask the question, for everyone listening, is there, because I know it would be in my head if I was listening, is there a particular type of music if you've been diagnosed with MS or a chronic illness, or you're dealing with, because, you know, it's a disease of starting with the central nervous system that can affect stress, sometimes mobility, but really can, you know, deal with that. Like, would you say that, you know, okay, there's a particular type of music, or is it going to be something that's comforting to you as an individual? Do you have any thoughts on that, I wonder?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think it will always go back to the goal area. What is it specifically that you're looking to achieve by coming to music therapy? But always, you're looking at the preference of the person. So what is the music that will motivate you? What is the music that you enjoy listening to? Okay, we may have to change the tempo of that, because if we're looking at your walking speed, or we're looking to increase that, we may be slowing down your preferred music, or we may be speeding it up, depending on each person's choice. But there is actually a lot of research done around this as well, and personal preference comes into play. There is no one type of music that will fit everybody, that, you know, this go-to that gets the best results. I think what gets the best results is each person's preference.
Okay, really interesting. And I wonder, because I know some clients that come to me will want to lose some weight first, or they might be like, okay, no, I've a little bit of excess weight and I want to get rid of that so that I can, you know, feel, you know, sexy in my body again, or whatever it might be. Is there any particular types of music for that, or is it down to personal preference? Is it like tempo or anything like that?
Would you be talking about for exercising, or for mindset, or what aspect?
All of it, Shane, all of it.
Okay. Well, I think, like, even for myself in the gym, if I went and had silence in my ears, I wouldn't have half the workout that I would have if there was kind of more lively music in, you know, going on in the background. So for me, I think that, you know, steadier, faster beat. If you're even if you're out walking, raise the tempo of your music, and you will be walking to that tempo. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been walking down a corridor where there's been somebody in front of you or behind you wearing high heels, and all of a sudden you're actually walking at the exact same tempo? It's just, it's an automatic thing that we do. Yeah. And it's below conscious level. It doesn't happen. You know, we tune into it, and I certainly tune into it now because of my work. Yeah. But it's something that we do. So definitely raising the tempo if you're out for a walk or out for a run, indeed. In terms of mindset, I think incorporating then music that you know is going to motivate you, engage you a little bit more. The feedback I would get from clients consistently is that it helped me go longer. If we're looking at movement or fitness or that kind of thing, it's like the music actually kept me going for longer. And that doesn't kind of waver according to where the person is at. They might be walking for the first time in a long time. They might be walking independently, like not a problem. But it's that engagement and motivation piece. So I think working on compiling playlists that are personal to you. With some people at the moment, we're compiling, like, okay, you might have an off day. Let's compile a list that will suit that day and maybe give you a little bit of a lift. But the tempo might be calmer. It might be, you know, more subdued. Whereas a day that you're feeling full of energy, this is your playlist. So compiling playlists that might engage or motivate you that little bit more.
I love that.
Or songwriting, actually composing. Like we would do some songwriting in our sessions, and particularly we might use mantras, put music to certain mantras. But yeah, writing down a person's own experience. For some people, that can be really, really massively beneficial and motivating. And then we'd record it so that they have it on their device to use when they're maybe feeling a little bit low or not feeling like exercising or whatever it may be. So I suppose music gives us that, you know, it gives us options to work towards a lot of different scenarios. And a lot of different outcomes for people.
I love
so it's hard
that.
to answer that, actually. I find that really hard to answer.
Of course it is. And look,
because
come
the
here.
scope is endless.
I know. It's a never-ending question and answer.
Yeah,
but you're so right. You know, I certainly will speak to, if I need to do cleaning, I turn on Madonna Confessions on the dance floor because I know, like, hung up or get together, I know I'm going to start moving. Yeah. Whereas I know that if I'm, say, prepping food for the week or, you know, doing something a little bit more, I actually need to be a little bit more still, because if I'm dancing around, I won't want to sit still or be bored kind of doing that. So I need something a little bit more relaxing to do that. But that's a brilliant idea.
And your movements as well aren't as quick. You know, it's that more, if you're cooking, it's that more fine motor movement. Your movements aren't as big or as, you know, rhythmical, I suppose, as Madonna, maybe, for example. But
you can't chop carrots while you're twerking.
I hope not.
That's the quote of the podcast. But it's such a great idea to have those playlists for different days. That's such a great idea.
Yeah, from a mood perspective, that's it. For others, it might be, right, we're going to compose a song, or we're going to record music at a certain tempo to help you brush your teeth, because actually your hand control mightn't be great. So we're going to do a slower 1, 2, 1, 2. Can we compose a song around that? Is there a song that already exists that you like that can help with that?
Amazing.
So it doesn't, you know, it can be a mood component, but it can be both. It can be both the functional and the mood combined.
I love it. I love it. Great tips. Tell me this. What do you do if you get someone that is like, no, I don't like music, or I don't, you know, I'm not really that into it. I just, you know, just give me the results or tell me what to do. You know, like if you come across somebody that's just not interested in it or doesn't have the same passion for music that you might.
This episode of Talk Healing to Me is sponsored by Clean Boss, created by Joy Mangano, the legendary inventor behind the Miracle Mop and a pioneer in clean innovation. Clean Boss is a botanical disinfectant that kills 99.9% of viruses, germs, and bacteria. It's safe for food surfaces, soft surfaces, and baby high chairs with no toxic ingredients and no rinse required. It's also a degreaser, odor eliminator, and all-purpose cleaner that works as hard as the chemical-heavy stuff without the health risks. Check it out at getcleanboss.com/Karen for a clean, better, and living safer life.
I think that's quite common, actually. And sometimes having too much of an interest in it or too much pressure on yourself, maybe to play well, or because music therapy within our sound, that's always one thing I'll point out. There's no interest in music necessary to benefit from it. There's no prior skills or knowledge of music necessary to benefit from it. And I have had people in the past who are like, listen, don't really like any specific type of music. It's grand. I passively listen, but I'm here so that it'll help me move better. And okay, great. Let's just use the rhythmic. We're taking the rhythmic element out of music and we're going to use that. So it's a very functional use of music. What I've found in the past is that often people will progress on to actually finding more. So we'll start with a very functional clinical use of rhythm to enhance movement, to enhance the rhythm maybe of their gait or their upper limb movements. But from there, as they kind of progress and the therapeutic process goes on, it's interesting that often a musical taste does actually come out through that therapy, I guess.
I love it. I love it. Do you ever get any really surprising musical tastes where you're like, oh,
absolutely.
I didn't expect that?
yeah, plenty. Absolutely plenty. You know, like as a piano player or as a clarinet player, I'm like, don't think it'll be suitable for those. But look, it's about working with where the person is at. And I remember at one stage working with somebody who loved grime music. And I was okay. Right, this is manageable. Let's listen to a few tracks together. Let's see what we can do. So it was about pulling out, you know, there was one track in particular that had quite a melodic line above it. So, okay, we're going to take the rhythm of the song. We're going to take that melodic line and we'll use that for your movement or whatever it was. I think it was movement we were working on. So there's always ways of using it. Often we do use live music because I think you can very much be with the person where they're at, whether that's in terms of the speed of their movement or where their speech is at, or cognitively where they're at. More often than not, we use live music, but we do often use recorded music as well in that case where you're really not going to play a grime piece of music on the piano. I mean,
I would kind of love to see that.
Know your
though.
limits.
Know the room. Brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah.
You brought up a brilliant point. Like in terms of, if somebody's listening to this at home, they're like, okay, I'm going to bring some music therapy into my life and, have a play around with it. In terms of listening versus singing or playing, what would you say is the difference, or is there more of a benefit of one than another?
Like singing as opposed to playing, or just listening?
Yeah. So if I was say, okay, I want to experience some music therapy and experience the benefits of it. So I could just listen on my phone to Spotify or wherever I listen to music, versus, is it better if I like sing along to it, or, I've heard there's benefits in humming for the vibrational side of things. Like, is there, talk to me a little bit about that, more so than like passive versus active.
Yeah. So for me, as you asked that, I suppose that's the difference for me would be music being therapeutic and then using music as therapy, because of course, for all of us, music is therapeutic. For most people, I won't generalize like that, but for most people, I think music is viewed as therapeutic. But within the therapy setting, we're looking at, well, how can we use music to benefit a non-musical part of your life? So I want to benefit your mood specifically, or we want to focus on a certain aspect of your life. Is that movement? Is that your speech? Is that your attention and focus? And we're going to creatively work around and create some techniques that we can do that. We're going to use your preferred music to do that. And for me, that's the difference. So that would be the active participation in music where, okay, we're using instruments very strategically placed because we want to work on your shoulder movement. We want to work on your upper limb movement and maintain or develop that. We're using cognitive musical games to try and promote your divided attention. So it's about the goal, I think. What is it you're trying to achieve? And I know I probably haven't answered 100% your question, because I think, are you talking about people at home? So listening versus singing just at home on your own? Yeah. Yeah, I think music has been shown to promote neuroplasticity. Again, going back to the research, and we're so lucky in the past 20 years that we know so much more now about brain activity and about how it works. And we know now that neuroplasticity, it keeps happening. It doesn't end in our 20s. It's a lifelong process that's a continuous thing. And we know that music promotes and helps to develop and strengthen existing neural pathways, but it also, develops new ones. Brilliant. And that's, I suppose, really the underpinnings of where music therapy can really benefit. But I suppose singing, humming, playing an instrument, it's going to activate more of those neural pathways than simply listening. But listening to different music will still stimulate a lot of activity and still, kind of give your brain a bit of a workout.
I love it. I love the fact that your brain will get a workout. That appeals to me a lot more than going to the gym, I must say. That kind of workout.
Do you know something? It was a client who said that to me one day. That's a client quote. I'd always check in, obviously, at the end of a session, and he has given me permission to use that quote. And do you mind if I use that? It's like a whole brain workout. And I kind of thought, well, actually, it is. Like, we know that from neuroscience, but to hear that directly from you, amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, Shane, we've gotten to our quick fire round. Ooh. Are you ready? We've got our 10 questions.
I'm nervous.
Okay. I think you might have answered the first one already. Okay. So number 1 is, if you followed your childhood dream, what would you be doing now?
I'd probably be performing music. Performing on stage music. Yeah. Okay. The clarinet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You can still fulfill on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Number 2, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, it's something around just do it. Don't overthink it. Just do it and kind of eliminate other people's opinions from it a little bit more than you do, I think.
Great advice.
Just follow your gut, I guess.
Love that. And then who inspires you the most is number 3.
Oh, who inspires me the most? There's so many people.
You're on the spot now, by the way, if you're going to share this podcast.
Did you forget to press record again?
No, I didn't. I'm not pressing pause.
Who inspires me? Oh, I'm struggling to. Can we come back to that one?
Yeah. Okay. We'll come back to number 3. All right. So number 4 is describe a time in your life that was challenging, a particularly dark day that turned into a positive, and what was the lesson that you learned from it?
Okay. This one is easier, bizarrely. A particularly dark day. It wasn't a particularly dark day. I think it was more of a period or a time, maybe in my early 20s, where I had just been through a breakup. So, of course, at that age, you think, oh, everything is, gone, kaput. I had also, so I have a sight condition or a condition in my eyes. Nothing too serious, but I had been told that I wouldn't be allowed drive. So for me, again, it was this big kind of life-changing episode or moment. And I think, there were just a few things going on in that period of my life that brought me to therapy. And I decided, right, I need to be proactive here. I need to just get a bit of support. And I went to therapy. I also signed up to a personal trainer. For the first time ever, I was never that sporty really before that. And so between both of those, I guess it led me on this path to really reassess so many parts of my life and what I was doing and even my career at the time, and it just made me reassess everything. So that in itself, so both, I think, between kind of finding fitness, my own music and therapy, it brought me to now being a therapist. So it led me to just kind of doing a little bit of research. What do I actually want to do? I knew it was music, but I didn't know what aspect. And so it was interesting just how something, that dark period could have led me to doing now what I'm so passionate about and absolutely love. And I've since found out that I am allowed drive. That was a very recent addition and development, but like it was just, And as I say, at the time, it just seemed, all hope was lost nearly. And
Wow, that's a really big thing to be told at that age and to kind of have that taken away from you, even if you didn't have it at the time. Like, wow.
Exactly. Yeah. So it felt huge. Now, I worked through that and it didn't seem so huge then. But from the positive slant, it was, okay, it actually brought me to realizing that music therapy is a thing and I can do that.
That's so great. I wonder if the therapist that you went to knows now that you're doing therapy, obviously in music as well. That must be such a gift. That would be such a big influence on you. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. Number 5 is, what does your ideal date consist of?
A lot of laughing. A lot of laughing, yeah.
Lovely.
Do you mean setting?
Yeah, like if you had like the perfect date, if you're going out with your partner and you're going to have a perfect date, what would it consist of?
Right, we're somewhere warm, so we're probably either in Ireland in the deep summer, or we're like in the south of France or Italy or somewhere with a nice view. I'd say overlooking the sea, sunset, glass of wine.
Yes.
Brilliant music, but calm and chilled. And lots of laughing.
Oh, that sounds gorgeous. That sounds gorgeous. Now, this is a very Irish question. If you had a roast dinner and it was roast potatoes, carrots, either a protein, like say chicken, or if you're vegetarian or vegan, a nut loaf and stuffing and a bit of gravy, do you eat your favorite thing first, your favorite thing last, or a little bit of everything together?
Not a little bit of everything together. No, I've actually been slagged about this in the past. Like, you're very compartmentalized about how you eat.
Tell us.
I probably saved the best till last. Yeah. I saved my favorite till last.
Which is what?
Probably the protein. Yeah, probably like the turkey or the whatever it is, chicken.
Okay. And so what do you start with first then? What do you go for?
Start with like the vegetables maybe.
And would you eat all of, say you had carrots, would you eat all the carrots and then move on to something else?
No, I wouldn't be that compartmentalized. But yeah, I'd end up with a plate of like turkey stuffing and maybe a roast potato. And that'd be my finishing. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
I've never been asked that before.
I know. I love asking. I ask this question to everyone. I love it. Okay. Now, sticking with the theme of dinner. If you had to choose 3 people to join you for dinner, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh, Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Dolly Parton. Lady Gaga.
Nice.
And Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
Eclectic mix. Like my musical taste.
I know. I can see us all on that balcony in the south of France. I can see you all there as well. Your date's just been crashed.
Absolutely, yeah. Pull up a seat.
Okay, brilliant. Number 8 is your favorite song. What is it?
Oh, now you could have warned me about this one.
Sorry, I should have actually.
There are so many. I'm obsessed with a few artists, so I'm going to go from there. Like Tracy Chapman and her music, I absolutely love her lyrics. And I just even think talking about like my previous, even as a teenager, I just tuned so much into her lyrics. Okay, off the cuff, Crossroads, Tracy Chapman.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. Then number 9, what is the book that you gift the most?
Depends who it is. I find that very individualized as to who it is. I think one actually I've gifted a little bit recently is a travel one. Where to go when.
Oh, nice.
Where to go when. Just a beautiful laid out, but it tells you, what time of the year should you go to this place? What time of the year should you go to that place? And it's just a really interesting take on a travel book.
Oh, how lovely. That's gorgeous. There's one little place in France called La Voile. And for 1 week, I think it's the 3rd week in July every year. And I might be wrong, but they do a lavender festival every year, and they have a harvest and they make lavender wine and
beautiful.
And it's supposed to be a tiny little village. It is on my radar to go to.
I love that.
So there's one strategic, logistic and time sensitive place for you to go in France.
Yeah, definitely.
And then number 10, bearing in mind, we're going to go back to number 3. Number 10 is how do you switch off?
How do I switch off?
Yeah.
The gym and music.
Nice.
As cliche as that is.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't say. If you didn't say music now, I would have been disappointed.
The piano behind me. That's where I come on a Friday evening or wherever it may be. Glass of wine. I'm in heaven for the night. My poor neighbours but honestly, that's my way of switching off. And the gym.
Nice. I have a piano that I got into, a teeny tiny little lift. I live on the second floor. Second floor? Yeah, of an apartment block. And I don't know how I got it in, but I still haven't started taking lessons. Like it's sitting there taunting me.
All that effort.
Come on. So it's gonna. I know. Now back to number 3. Speaking of come on.
Who do I admire most?
No, who inspires you most?
Who inspires me most? I'm going to keep it close to home and I'm going to say my parents. I know that's very cheesy, but actually, my parents.
I love that. That's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
So lovely. What a gorgeous tribute to them. Shane, it has been such a joy to speak to you today.
Likewise.
Thank you for the giggles, especially when I
me.
didn't hit record the first time. Thank you for that. Thank you for being so understanding. But really, thanks for sharing your passion and your knowledge and really your stand for music and bringing it to people in such a contributive way. Thank you.
Absolutely delighted to.
Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram. I have a Facebook, neurolinks.ie, and my website is neurolinks.ie as well. So all of my information and contacts are on any of the above.
Amazing. Shane Cassidy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you to our sponsors of this episode. You can visit getcleanboss.com/Karen. And also a thank you to our video and podcast producer and editor, Aoife McNamara at Imagine Media. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Talk Healing to Me podcast. Sometimes the right piece of info can totally change someone's health journey. So if today's episode resonated with you, please pass it along to someone who might find it useful. And hey, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and perhaps even leave a review. It helps more people find us, and I'd love to hear what you think. See you next time, and until then, keep healing, keep growing, and keep listening.